So I'm very happy to be speaking to Kristen today. Kristen is the CEO of Prisma, a virtual school that accepts kids from grade 4 up to grade 12. Thank you for joining us, Kristen.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Luigi. Excited to be here.
Could you please, to start off, kind of unpack what Prisma is and what its offer is?
Yeah, sure. So Prisma, we like to say, is the world's most engaging virtual school. So we really think about how can we really prepare kids for the world of the future, right? So we think about preparing them with the skills that they need to thrive in the future. So their applied curiosity, innovator's mindset, communication and collaboration, and initiative and follow through. So those skills that we know that you need to be successful in the future, but just aren't frequently taught in schools today. And then we also really want to prepare kids to love learning. We want them to be excited about school and to really light up when they think about learning and be able to go down different pathways and explore what they're interested in. So really at a high level, that's what we're trying to do at Prisma, is to just get kids excited about learning, but then also to prepare them with the skills that we know they'll really need in the future. And we do that in a couple of different ways. We've got synchronous and asynchronous learning. We have these really close-knit communities of learners who get to know each other well. We've got a mentor coach model. So each learner has a coach who really knows them and is a mentor to them. And then we also have just this really engaging and exciting curriculum, and happy to dive into all of that as we get going.
Yeah, I'm very curious about all of this. So this happens 100% virtually. Is that so?
That's right, 100% virtual.
Wow, okay. I'm curious to understand and unpack how this happens. But first of all, how many students do you currently have, and how long have you been running? When was your first cohort?
Yeah, so we started in 2020, so the 2020-2021 school year, with just a small pilot cohort of 28 learners. And we've grown since then. And the next year we had about 85. The year after that, we had about 150. And next year we're planning to have around 250 or 300 learners.
Okay, right. So that's going to be your fourth cohort.
Yes, going into our fourth year.
Right. So you started off during COVID. Was COVID
Yes.
the main motivator for the founding of Prisma?
You know, it wasn't. So we have two really wonderful, amazing founders, Victoria and Alon. They have 3 young children themselves. And as their children were starting to get to school age, they started looking at different schools. And they saw some really cool, progressive, project-based schools. And they're like, oh, these are great, but, you know, they're so expensive, or they're so inflexible, or there's just so much, you know, intensive focus on test prep. And there can be a lot of mental health issues that go along with that. So they really started thinking, you know, we want this flexible education for our children. We want it to be interest-based. And, you know, what if there were a world in which we were able to bring it online and really make it accessible and affordable? So they kind of had been thinking about this idea for a while. And then COVID hit, and then they were like, wow, well, if there's any time to disrupt in education and to try out this idea, the time is now, right? And so they ended up starting Prisma. I was the first hire. I started on the curriculum team along with our current head of learning innovation, Emily Vino, and really developed this innovative, exciting curriculum, and then moved into the head of school role after that. And now I'm currently our CEO as we've been growing.
By the way, are you age-based, or are you more like level retention-based?
In terms of the cohorts?
Yeah, in terms of the cohorts, I don't even know how the cohorts are structured.
Yeah, how do they work, right? So when learners join, they're part of a mixed age cohort of learners. So we've got a middle school program that has our 4th through our 8th graders, and then a high school program. And the way it works is learners come in and we do an interview with them, and then we place them into a cohort based on that interview. And we structure our cohorts by what we call autonomy level. So it's a general mix of your age level, your grade level, your maturity level, your academic level. And so we meet a learner and say, oh, wow, you like are super advanced and mature for your age level. We really want to put you in a group where there's going to be a lot of debate and discussion, and you're really excited about it. We've got a cohort of kids that are really gamer kids that love to, you know, really techie, and they kind of take things in a real tech direction and really like to do gaming. We've got learners who have been homeschooled who are really into arts and crafts that are all in the kind of 4th through 6th grade range. So we kind of meet kids and we match them with a coach and a cohort where we know they're going to be really successful socially.
So it's not entirely age-based. You can get you get cohorts where you get what kind of range is the maximum range you can get within one cohort?
About 3 age levels. Most are within 2, but then, you know, about like 4th through 6th grade, mostly 4th and 5th grade. There's a couple 6th graders in there, 5th through 6th grade, kind of like that, but it's loose.
And I saw your product is kind of divided as well in kind of two possible services. One is the full Prisma package, and the other one is more like helping parents who are already experienced in homeschooling and perhaps are teachers themselves and kind of need assistance, curricular assistance, perhaps from Prisma. Is that how you did your differentiation?
Yes, that's exactly right. So we've got two different offerings. We have our full program, which includes all of the curriculum, all of the live workshops, and then this mentor coach who meets with you each week, who gives you feedback, who checks in on you, who pushes you, who challenges you. But we found as we actually started this parent coach program in our second year, that we had a lot of really amazing, wonderful families who were like, I'm looking for a community for my child that's, not just in our local community. I want them to be able to make friends. It's a lot of work to like pick and choose curriculum as a homeschool parent. I want a curriculum that's already vetted, that I know is going to prepare my kid for the future, but is also really fun and interest driven and project based. So they wanted all those pieces, but they still really wanted to be their kids' teachers. So we started this parent coach program. And so that's another choice that families have. Do they want the mentor coach or not?
So this was kind of a market response. You started with a product and a service, and then you realized, wow, okay, we could adapt our service to even like kind of deliver a service to this other kind of market demand.
Yes, that's exactly right. And then we had added kind of another piece to that parent coach program where we had parents that are like, I really want to be my child's coach for everything but math. So we've got parent coach plus math as well, where it's like, oh, math is like not quite my strong suit. So I do want a Prisma coach to be, supporting my child and giving them feedback in math as well. So that's another thing that we've added as we've gone along as well.
And how does pricing work in a case like that one? Is it like, do you do like tailor-made pricing in a case such as the one you explained?
Nope, it's pretty standard. So our parent coach program is about half the price of our full regular program, and then the parent coach plus math is another $100 per cycle.
So do you operate solely in the with students from the United States at this stage?
No, we don't. So the way our cohorts work, because we have this split between synchronous time and asynchronous time, we do operate mostly within US time zones, but we have learners from all over the world. We've got a couple learners in Australia who get up really early to make it work to join some of our US West Coast based cohorts. We have some learners in Europe who stay up a little later and they do Prisma kind of early to late afternoon. We just enrolled a new learner from Italy just yesterday. We've got a couple learners in Mauritius. We've got learners in the UK and in France as well. So no, we are, kind of expanding, and we hope as we continue to grow that we'll be able to open more cohorts and time zones that are more friendly. Our plan is to launch an Australasia cohort this coming January 2024.
Wow, this is incredibly interesting, and like I see the full potential of the international vibe in this.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, from let's say a legislative recognition point of view, sure. And perhaps for some of our listeners, this is also interesting to understand, like how can this be recognized within each country's system as like from national schooling standards and requirements.
Yeah, so every country is a little bit different when it comes to homeschooling or online schooling. We are going through the process to be accredited through Cognia, which is recognized internationally. So learners in different countries receive a US-based diploma, but Cognia is recognized in 74, I believe, countries, including in most of Europe, Canada, and other countries as well.
And do they sometimes have to do like on the side, like an habilitation for their own country's national standards?
Yeah, there are some countries in which learners do need to do that. For example, in Canada, they need to learn French. I mean, we offer French at Prisma, so they're able to do that as well. And we offer lots of flexibility. So, for example, we did a history-based cycle called What If, and it was an alternative history cycle. So you need to sort of imagine, what if this big turning point had gone differently? Learners in different countries were able to pick a turning point in their country and, learn their country's history through the theme. So it's pretty adaptable in the ways in which they're able to.
How does the adaptation work with a cohort? So suppose in a cohort you have students with different kinds of needs, as you mentioned, French, for example.
Yeah.
How do you adapt, the collaboration with the adaptation?
Yeah, so that's where really the learning coach comes in and the ability to personalize and adapt the curriculum to each learner's needs. So we have every 6 weeks a different theme-based cycle. So I'll give an example. We did one called Cities of the Future, right? And so the idea is we have this theme and we're all thinking about the cities of the future, but you get to adapt it in the ways that's most interesting to you. So we had kids that said, oh gosh, I'm really worried about climate change in the future, so I want to do an environmental advocacy project. Or, we have learners who are really into space. They say maybe in the future we'll give up on Earth and we'll go to space. And they're doing a physics project based on, is it more likely for humans to live in an O'Neill colony or on the moon or in Mars? We had other learners that were saying, I imagine a more equitable, fair world in the future, so I'm doing a community art project. Or learners that are interested in green architecture and sustainable design, so they're learning all about, how the cities of the future will be much more eco-friendly and how can we design buildings that are, better for the environment. So lots of different ways in which you can take the same theme. And then, coaches are meeting with each learner each week. They're personalizing the feedback to them, right? There's no multiple choice quizzes at Prisma that we all need to study and memorize facts for. It's like, okay, let me challenge you at your exact level. Like, Luigi, that's a good idea. Like, let me, challenge you. Let me ask you a question. Let me push it. So it's really personalized to each learner in that way.
I do have many questions to follow up from here, but I would like first to ask you, do you have kind of a demo, a video introducing Prisma to the general public that you would like to show?
Yeah, of course.
Prisma has been a dream.
We learn more things that are valuable and that we'll actually use. And we learn things that are actually fun to learn.
The growth you will see in your kids over the first 3 weeks is phenomenal. Your kids will blow you away.
Prisma is the world's most engaging virtual school. They combine a fun, real-world, hands-on curriculum with powerful mentorship from experienced coaches and teachers with a kind and supportive peer community.
I just love that Prisma allows this choose your own adventure, self-directed model.
The interest that Elliot showed in the topic just drives him to do a lot more than he ever did in traditional school.
We believe traditional education doesn't prepare kids for the real world. So we built a curriculum based on the skills kids need to thrive in the future.
I feel like it's actually preparing Will for life beyond school, like for a world that he's going to graduate into.
It's hard work, but it's fun hard work. Yeah, challenges are very fun in Prisma. I feel like in normal school, when I got a challenge, it was more like, but now it's like, you don't even notice it's a challenge. It's like a fun game.
In a regular school, you're just sitting there. The teacher tells you what to do. You get out the workbook and you do it. In Prisma, we talk about the reason why we're doing it, why it's important.
In each theme, kids choose their own hands-on projects to complete, and they earn badges for mastering grade-level skills in all subjects.
My favorite cycle was Build a Business because we just got to create like websites, and my business was definitely very, very, very fun to create. You present for whatever you did, so you have to be proud of what it is. Like after you've done 3 cycles, then you're really good at presenting and you have...
As a mentor coach, it's my job to make sure I build meaningful relationships with each of the kids in my cohort. We do this by hosting frequent one-on-one check-ins with them, along with giving personalized feedback in their academic work to make sure we really challenge them to do their best.
There are thousands of good things about my coach. Her kindness and how much she understands.
The coaches are really pushing problem solving and creativity in the kids and helping them with the intrinsic motivation of what's your goal today for you. Coaches facilitate engaging workshops to get kids excited about learning.
It's like actually engaging and fun. Like this year, City of Ventus was destroyed by tornadoes. So we're working for the City of Ventus to help them get like a sustainable energy source.
This girl, she was really struggling, and my heart just went out to her. And all of a sudden I saw in the chat bar, all of the kids cheering her on. You've got this.
You don't just have a friend group. You're really friends with like everybody you meet there.
It feels like we're all friends, and it seems like they're just as excited to be there as I am.
Since day one, our dream at Prisma has been for kids to love learning and to experience school as fun and engaging while learning the skills that they need to thrive both now and in the future.
Joining Prisma really exceeded our expectations, so much so that now our 2 other children are also Prismarians.
If you want your kid to love learning with an education that's flexible, supportive, and innovative, I hope you join Prisma.
You should come to Prisma because it's not boring. You should join it. It's very fun. So my message would be join Prisma now.
kind of walk you through both our asynchronous and synchronous curriculum and how that works a little bit. I'll walk you through a theme here.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so you can see here, like I mentioned, each theme. So there's 2 examples on here, Uncharted Territories and Build a Business. These are 2 of our most popular themes. And each theme starts with what we call an explorations phase. So this is the idea of applied curiosity. What are you interested in? What are you excited about? What's really sparking your interest about this theme? So in the Build a Business, we started with investigate and create tasks. So we curate tons of different resources for learners so they can choose from lots of different articles that they could read within the Build a Business theme about kid entrepreneurs or business basics or inspiring business leaders. We curate videos that they can watch to learn more about what does it, mean to start a business, or economics, or how do you pitch on Shark Tank, podcasts that you can listen to learn more about the theme, games or interactives that you can play, infographics that you can explore. So learners get to choose from all these different resources. What is piquing your interest? What are you excited about in terms of this theme of Build a Business? We also do a bunch of different create tasks. So we curate all these different tasks that kids can choose from. So how do you write a business review? Or what are your strengths that make you a really great business leader? Or how do you run a focus group? And how do you create a survey and analyze data? Or what are some of the marketing aspects that go into creating a different brand? Or how do you use Canva if you want to be able to create different, assets for your business? So in the beginning of the cycle—
Did you record these yourselves, by the way, these ones that you're showing me right now?
Yes, yeah, we have a curriculum team who develops all of these amazing resources. So we, start with this explorations phase. What are you interested in? And then we move into the project phase. So for the Build a Business theme, learners could choose if they wanted to be a solo founder or a co-founder for their business. Lots of kids were co-founders. It was really fun. They got to start these businesses together. And then they had kind of a basic, business structure that they'd come up with. So they came up with their business plan together. They, decided what their product was going to be, how they're going to sell it, how are they going to price it. And then they chose a project mod. So this is where that aspect of choice comes in, right? Like, am I really interested in marketing, or am I interested in sustainability? Do I want to, become an expert in green design and make my business environmentally friendly? Or how do I build a product and really launch it? Or how do I launch my service? What does it take for me to get my business going? So they worked together, they created these projects, and then they could kind of preview the project mods. What did they want to work on? And then at the end, we had kind of a big directory. So all the teams came together and they created websites for their businesses. Many of them were selling their products or services. And at the end of each cycle, we have a big expo day. So the kids come together, they get to show off the projects that they've made. You can see over time, learners over the years, for each cycle, they compile everything they've done into these portfolio sites. So this is Ruby. You can see that in the Unsolved Mystery cycle, she researched the mystery of Amelia Earhart, and then she made a podcast, which is pretty cool. In cycle 2, she had World of Wonder. So she made a presentation advocating for earthquake safety and knowledge. She also wrote a poem. In cycle 3 was 8 Billion Stories. So she wrote and performed a monologue about her culture. Cycle 4, Wild Inventions was all about biomimicry and engineering design. So she made a design that filters water inspired by 2 different organisms, which is pretty cool. Her pitch is in there. And so you see the learners are able to explore all these different projects based on their interest. This is what if. So she made an alternative history room about what if the Great Swamp Massacre had gone differently. That was something in her local history. And then for change makers, she conducted an interview with a change maker in her community and performed some community service. So you can see the learners kind of work on these projects that are really kind of tailored to their interests throughout each cycle. So that's about half of the Prisma curriculum. And then the other half is synchronous. That's when learners are all live together. And these are really engaging, interactive experiences where the learners are coming together, they're communicating, they're collaborating, they're doing debates, they're, changing each other's minds when presented with new evidence, they're changing their own minds if they learn something new, they're doing escape rooms. So I'll show you an example of one that we did. They have collaborative problem solving twice a week where they're really learning these skills. How do you collaborate with others? So this one was called the AMSERP. So that's Prisma spelled backward, mystery. So in this one, they were working in teams to determine, the problem is that some eggs had been stolen from a zoo. So they had all these different suspects that we developed, and every week they got different clues and they would eliminate different suspects. So there's the facts that they had different alibis where they were introduced to each week, so they could read the alibis of the different suspects, the timelines of what they were doing. There was a note that they needed to work together to decode, all these different witness interviews that they would listen to, and what do we believe, what do we not believe, how can we eliminate suspects, behavioral data from animals that they needed to analyze as a group, data from the motion sensors. And so they're collecting all this evidence throughout the cycle and then eliminating suspects over time. So nothing like a regular class where you're just signing in and listening to a teacher talk at you. It's really engaging and collaborative and really, really developing those skills. So that's one of the things that we love the most about Prisma, seeing the learners really develop these relationships and develop these skills that we know they need to be successful in the future.
For sure, and highly gamified, of course. Attracts the attention of kids, for sure.
Of course.
I was thinking about assessment. How does that work at Prisma?
Sure. So learners are assessed in lots of different ways. So their coach gives them feedback every single day or every other day, going in, looking at their learning journal. What do they do? Challenging them quite uniquely, like, oh, okay, like, here's an idea. Let me ask you a question here to push your thinking, or, oh, I don't think you're quite on the right track here. Why don't you go back and revise and add more evidence to this? So there's that kind of ongoing assessment, which is that one-on-one personalized piece. Learners also earn badges throughout each cycle. So for example, in our unsolved mystery cycle, they were doing research on a mystery that happened. And so maybe they chose, who really is the founder of Bitcoin. So they're doing this research and pulling in different evidence from different places, and they're earning a research badge, which is then translated to a transcript. In our World of Wonder, they were learning about earth science. So they're learning an earth science badge. And that one in What If, it was an alternative history cycle. So they're doing historical research. So within each cycle, they have several different badges that they're earning, and those represent mastery of the specific standards aligned to their grade level that are necessary for them to learn.
Right. So do you have let's pick like maths, right? It's kind of easy to have you developed the whole of the curriculum yourself, or do you also use external curricula integrated within your own?
Yeah, for math, we do use some external curriculum. We use both Zearn for 4th through 8th grade and Aleks, ALEKS, for high school. And so learners are kind of, learners,
right?
Yes, McGraw-Hill, you're right. So learners are working through modules within Zearn and within Aleks. And then at the end of each module, they have a Prisma developed performance task, which takes the concepts and really applies it to the real world. So a little bit of both. We're using some external curriculum for math, but then also kind of Prismifying it there at the end. So it's not just like go on.
I understand. So I suppose that part of, I don't remember exactly the Aleks offering, but part of the continuous assessment that might be in kind of the extreme hard skills of maths, for example, might be happening on the Aleks curriculum as well.
Yes, that's exactly right. And that's how we make sure they're getting, especially with math, that because it progresses in such a clear and logical way that they're getting, every concept along the way and not missing anything.
Makes sense. This feeds into like a broader question in kind of a theme that I have very much at heart, which is kind of, I call it the supply chain of education, because education has always had like minimal supply chains to, in some way, where, publisher develops a curriculum and then schools use it, and there's perhaps a couple of illustrators involved, might be external companies from the publisher, but not that many like big supply chains, like a supply chain to make an iPhone, I feel like this is changing in EdTech and edu entrepreneurship in general, having like allowed the market to kind of unleashed market forces in driving innovation in education. And I'm curious to hear from you, like, how do you collaborate with external providers, with external companies that might be, specific experts on one specific aspect that you need to integrate into the Prisma offering? How is this going on your side?
Yeah, that's one of the great things about the flexibility of Prisma, right? Is that we don't have to follow this prescribed curriculum that's passed down from a district, right? So we specifically call our curriculum team at Prisma curriculum designers as opposed to curriculum developers, because they are designing for our specific users at Prisma. They're designing for our learners and for our coaches. They're surveying our learners, asking them, what do you want to learn? What are you interested in? What kind of projects do you like? They're getting feedback from the coaches all the time. How usable is our curriculum? How can we make it more differentiated and more personalized? And so they're taking, what they've learned from their users, and then they're, creating lots of resources on their own, but also, the whole internet is full of tons of amazing resources that they can pick and choose from. So as opposed to having to follow this curriculum that's been mandated by the district, and here's this textbook that you need to follow, they're able to say, oh, wow, like here's a really cool history resource that I like, or this group is like making a really cool game that we want to incorporate into the curriculum, or here's some interesting podcasts that we can pull and curate and call from all over, right? So it really is kind of this world of all of these open source resources is blown open. We're able to kind of curate them and then tailor them to the needs of our users, our coaches, and our learners.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you mentioned Aleks, you mentioned another curriculum you did not mention, and here, like you're very welcome not to comment on this, but it's quite common for blended learning schools or virtual schools to utilize Khan Academy. This did not come up. Did you expressively choose Aleks and other curricula and find them superior to Khan Academy?
Yep, we did. We used Khan Academy in our first year, and it wasn't very highly reviewed by our learners, and so we followed them. And yeah, we found that it's a good supplementary resource, and I know some of our learners do use it, but it wasn't exactly meeting our needs, which is totally fine.
Yeah. This is market competition doing its work at its best.
Yeah, one of the things we are excited about is we did just subscribe to Khanmigo, which is Khan Academy's AI tutor service, and we're excited to see if that will be helpful for our learners as well. We're going to start experimenting with it in math, and there's a couple other things in there that we're excited to try out. So we're not opposed to Khan Academy, and we'll see how Khanmigo goes for us.
Yeah, you pull in the best services from the best providers. Yeah. So what does a day at Prisma look like? You mentioned several things, but give me kind of a demo day.
Yeah, sure. We get this question all the time, and it's so hard to answer because one of the benefits of Prisma is that it is really flexible and it is really different for every kid, right? We have a learner who's actually a professional race car driver in Italy, a 9-year-old, who knew? And so his day looks really different from another learner who may have a different schedule. We've got learners that attend in-person co-ops or things during the day, but overall kind of a general day in the life is that we start each day with a stand-up. So that's about 30-minute time for them to come together with their cohort, play games, get to know each other, talk about what's going on in the world or at Prisma or in their lives. Then they've got a 30-minute, what we call support squads or office hours, where they can meet with their coach, they can collaborate with other learners, they can work on projects together. And then we have a live workshop each day. Mondays and Tuesdays are usually focused on their project. So we did a theme called Games for Change, where learners were learning about neurodiversity and coding their own video game that would be playable by anyone, regardless of learning difference. So that project workshop time was a lot of play testing each other's games, or how could you make me more engaged if I had ADHD, or what if I had a visual impairment, or, oh, my code is like really tripping me up. Like, can you help me debug it here? So that's that project workshop time. And then Wednesdays and Thursdays are collaborative problem solving. So time for kids to come together. Like I mentioned, like solve mysteries or do escape rooms, debates, that kind of thing. They also have a math workshop each day, which is really tailored to their level. Just because you're in 6th grade doesn't mean you're in 6th grade math, right? We've got a 5th grader who's in geometry. We have 8th graders who are, catching up on some skills that they missed in 6th and 7th grade math, and then accelerating forward. So that's really personalized to their level. We offer enrichments every day as well. Lots of different social opportunities, chefs in training and songwriting and creative writing and all kinds of fun things for learners throughout the day as well.
Do you happen to have a video of any of Prisma kids, Prismarians, right?
Yes, Prismarians. They named themselves that. I think in one of the first days in our first cohort, they said we're Prismarians, and so it stuck.
Okay. Do you have a video of any of them talking about a day at Prisma?
Yeah, we do.
I'm very proud to be a Prismalar. At Prisma, we are family.
Prisma doesn't teach you unnecessary things.
For instance, this cycle, I learned how to code a website.
We actually don't have teachers, but we have learning coaches.
The coaches are really kind.
They're amazing adults that help guide you along.
They give us detailed feedback on our work and let us know how we can improve.
I got to be very independent.
You don't have to feel rushed to do it.
Prisma has challenged me to work on my time management and being able to set a plan.
Once you complete a subject, you get something called a badge.
Here at Prisma, you learn how to push yourself to your limits and learn how you can grow.
By pushing me, I've learned to set a high goal and make smaller goals to reach my big goal.
We get to debate about different topics like should college be free?
It's taught me to voice my opinion and contribute to class conversations.
In Prisma, I can make new friends online and share experiences with people from different cultures.
You can hang out with anyone, like from different countries and states, and they don't have to be in your same age group. Say goodbye to boring lectures.
Prisma is the best thing that could have happened to me this year, and I'm glad that I joined.
Yeah, thank you for showing that. I was thinking about, well, you explained how your whole virtual curriculum unfolds. I'm curious to know whether you do organize some face-to-face meetings.
We don't organize any face-to-face meetings ourselves, but we have a Prisma parent community that is always coordinating different in-person meetups. We had a group of families go to Costa Rica for a week together. We've done pop-up hubs in Crested Butte, Colorado. We just, there was just a theater camp that was going on with a bunch of different Prisma families all together in Pennsylvania. A couple different Prisma learners just went to see a show on Broadway together last night. We've done field trips to museums together. And so learners fly all across the country and the world really to meet up with each other.
So I was also thinking, you mentioned Aleks, you mentioned other external curricula, you mentioned the Khan Academy chat tutor bot. I was wondering whether you've explored the potential of bringing together the data that might be mined on one software and the data mined on another software, from like educational data, of course, about the students, like performance and retention, and bringing this together into one place so that like this might help your tutors, your teachers kind of monitor students.
Yeah, we did experiment with that at one point. So we were kind of web scraping from lots of different apps that we had learners on and creating a dashboard where we could see their progress. What we found is that actually the educational apps haven't been as successful for our learners. They're really excited about this idea of doing hands-on projects and building things. And so we do try to limit the amount of time that they spend on these external apps, and found that limiting it to just, one or two at a time is actually best for them, as opposed to, jumping around and trying different things. So we did do that, and ended up not using it. So pivoting away from that.
Okay. Hot topic, Apple Vision Pro coming out. And I'm just wondering, have you explored the use of XR, VR for Prisma?
We haven't yet, but I can absolutely imagine a world in which learners are using VR headsets to communicate with each other. They love Gather, they love Gather, that's what it's called. So the Prisma learners love to go on Gather and create different rooms together and explore different virtual reality spaces together. But no, we haven't done anything with headsets just yet.
That's a huge space that is in development. So I think the major applications, I can think of a couple out there, past interviews as well.
Yeah.
XR developers, but it's really a booming space right now. So until hardware become available for everyone, it's kind of still something to work towards. But I expect great things with the hardware progressing. Now the price point is kind of high with Apple, but still Meta Quest instead had a much more accessible price point. I'm curious to see how this is going to be adopted in
I am too.
Yeah, so I'd like to ask you a couple of business side questions. So first of all, how was Prisma founded? Has there been venture capital funding? Has it been bootstrapped?
So right now we're entirely funded by Victoria and Alon, who are our two founders. So no venture capital just yet. So just funded in that way, but I would definitely say that we're in the bootstrap phase, really keeping it lean and making sure that we're growing sustainably and taking a.
How many people are currently in your team?
21.
Okay.
So a small team still.
Right. Have you considered? Are you more like on the side of reinvesting profits, or are you considering looking for further investments to scale your operations?
We're not looking for further investments at this time. Really hoping to, get to that profitability point and then reinvest profits back into the business, hopefully in terms of scholarships, and then growing different options after that.
Right. So I saw from your personal background, you founded a charter school before becoming a CEO at Prisma.
Yeah,
I'm wondering how this background influenced you in taking over operations and administration at Prisma, and how it taught you perhaps aspects that have become important in how you lead Prisma.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a ton from founding a charter school. I did it as part of a fellowship program where I got to spend a whole year just traveling the United States, studying different school models. So learning from what are the best schools out there do, what are different innovative school models doing. And I think it gave me a nice perspective that I was able to bring to Prisma in terms of what things do really work with different populations and how can we innovate in education and try different things in terms of founding the charter school in itself. I had to write a charter application, soliciting lots of different input from the community. And I think that really gave me this focus on the user, focus on the student. What do our families want? What do our kids want? What do our actual users want, which I think is often missing in education. A lot of times it's just like, this is what we think should happen, and so let's push it down. Whereas really what it should be, what do our users want? How can we bring this design thinking mindset to education? I think was really helpful.
Yeah. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about your marketing strategy, what the parts that can be spoken about publicly, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Well, to date, about 60% of our families have come from word of mouth. So I would say that our number one marketing strategy is to have a good product. And, our NPS score is very consistently above 80. Our most recent was 86. So we're really proud of the fact that our kids and our families are really happy at Prisma. And I think doing a good job and having a great product is our number one marketing strategy, right? Just like do a good job, have people spread the word, get that going. We've got a group of parent influencers who are, spreading the word in their community. And I think that has been really helpful. We've been doing some advertising with Meta, so Facebook and Instagram ads, and we found those to be successful as well. Some UGC ads, and just, more authentically getting the word out there. We're not trying to be really, in education, it's so personal and it's so real. You can't, trick people into it. And that's not what we would ever want to do anyways. We just are authentically looking for families that want this future focused education, that want the community, that want to be able to go at their own pace and to really personalize their education in an exciting, innovative way.
Wow. Yeah. This is all very exciting. I like the genuinity of your model, and it looks like you're up to an educational model that is appreciated by parents and students with word of mouth doing most of your marketing. So there's definitely something that is found attractive of the Prisma model by your customers and students and the kids. So this is definitely very exciting. I think you're up to something very interesting, and I'm really curious to keep monitoring and seeing your progress. Thanks a lot for being with me today, Kristen, and I look forward to seeing what's coming up at Prisma in the coming years.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Luigi. I really enjoyed it.